Is this season a success if Georgia does not win a national championship? That's kind of the question I've been thinking about recently. If they win the SEC title, Ryan or Dean, and they win, let's say, one playoff game, maybe two, is this season a success seeing that this team does not have the talent it has in the last several years and they have two losses on the regular season? Is there any way this season could be successful if they don't win the national championship?
I think knee-jerk reaction to that is no. Just because I think that the new standard is championship or bust. And we saw that last season, the disappointment in not winning a national championship last year. Now, they definitely had a team that was capable of doing it a year ago, definitely got snubbed there at the end. So it's a little bit circumstantial. They're trying to do a three-peat. But, people will be happy if they went far, but it won't be enough. I do think that with how good this team is, it's not as good, but you look around the country and it's not great everywhere, and they still could be the best team, and we just don't really know it yet. I don't know. I just kind of think it's championship or bust, but I see what you're getting at. I think that you don't get upset about maybe an SEC trophy, a Sugar Bowl trophy, and all that, and all that's great, but it's the first expanded playoffs. It's still kind of clinging on to those rings a couple of years ago. I think the answer would be no, is my knee-jerk reaction to that.
Yeah, clinging. I mean, you should see Clemson around here after that loss to South Carolina. They're clinging to anything they got. I mean, I think, I have to say, I think if they win the Southeastern Conference Championship, that's a successful season. And I know that kind of refutes some of the stuff that I say when we're in private, but it's hard to be black and white about this because I think it's very nuanced. First of all, when you take a global view and you look at places like Ohio State and Georgia who have dumped in all sorts of time, money, energy, effort into winning the national championship, being the best program in the country, and then you don't do it, that is failure. I'm not saying failure is a dirty word in that case necessarily, but I think if you don't win it this year, I don't think that's like it was last year. I mean, last year was a failure. This year, y'all, they're not the same team. However, this season, just to me, gives Kirby Smart a very particular opportunity to show how good he really is. Ryan Day is going to have to rescue his career right now. Kirby Smart can just sort of say, hey, I'm going to pull a Nick Saban 2015. We're not going to be real great, and we're going to win it. That's where I think he's got an opportunity to do, Matt.
Yeah. Well, I definitely think if they beat Texas on Saturday, it's a more successful season than last year. So it's, a little bit, better. But, when we were doing our pregame, rituals before the game, Dean, and I was looking up at the flags, and the flags mean a lot. You win on Saturday, you get a flag. And I'm thinking, we've been to a lot of SEC stadiums, and the new ones, I try to look around, see, where they put flags up and what gets a flag, right? And Georgia's got plenty of SEC championship flags, and a win would put another one. So it is something. Georgia fans will always be disappointed for not winning a national championship, but it would still be something to hang your hat on. 2 wins over Texas, and when they just beat Kentucky by 1 point and they really struggled at times this year, they clearly didn't look like the best team in the SEC for most of the season. And a lot of people, especially after the 2 losses and even in Lexington, man, can this team win a national championship? They sure don't look like it. They would come a really long way if they do win an SEC title, get that first round bye, and try to make something special of the season. But at the end of the day, they didn't play up to their standard. That's clear, but you can still be happy with some of the parts of the season.
Yeah, I mean, obviously this weekend matters a lot, and this game matters a lot. And every trophy matters, and this one in particular, it means something. It means something to Georgia. This is the first year that Texas has entered the conference, and by the way, that's a theme throughout these conference championships. Is first-year teams, Oregon, SMU, in their conferences, getting to the title game. But that's kind of the other part of it. I think with Georgia, there's definitely a pride thing in the game this weekend, and preventing a first-year team from coming in. And after all of the talk the last few years, and everyone was saying, how would Texas handle the SEC? They got a softer schedule than some other people, but still they did make it this far, and they are 11-1. So I think that in particular matters. And the further you get, the more successful it felt and technically is. I just do think at the end of the day, there will always be this team had a chance to do it and they didn't. But like you said, Dean, it wouldn't be like last year. Last year, I still think it was the best team in college football last year.
They were.
They just, they just lost to Alabama. And I just, if they were given a chance in that, I think that it would have played out a little bit differently. But you can't say that confidently about it this year. And I do think that just Georgia fan base as a whole has an understanding this team is not the same, right? At this point, I think everyone kind of gets it. So it won't be as disappointing. But at the end of the day, like you said, it's not an evil word. It's not a bad word, but it would be technically a failure.
Well, we're at that point, though. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. So, and this is not criticism. This is fact. Kirby has walled off the football program from the rest of the world. And that's what it's his prerogative. He can do whatever he wants to do. And I understand that. That's why he may feel like it's the best way to do it. He's walled off the program. They've raised millions, tens of millions of dollars to do all the things that they need to do. They are paying players significantly. They're not the only ones. They are controlling every single thing that's going in and out of there. They've adjusted the in-game experience. They're asking a lot from folks that are supporters. There really are no excuses. There's no sock audit. They have been given everything that they asked for, and they've gone and earned being either the best program. They're probably still the best program in the country, because if it's not them, it ain't. And it's not Alabama right now. So I don't know who it would be besides Georgia. Texas, maybe. Oregon. Oregon's not won a national championship. Neither is Texas. So I don't know, but the expectation from me, someone who's covered this, next year will be the 25th year I've covered the program, and you're seeing the players are signing. We're recording this on signing day. They're going to sign the number one class in the country, Matt. Why would the anticipation, expectation, whatever, anticipatory word you want to use is, why would it be anything other than winning the national championship? Why would it be, what are we doing this for? As he said to Jake Rowe one time, why are we doing this if we're not trying to win the national championship? I don't know, because if it ain't about winning the national championship, you can go play at Clemson. Is that too harsh?
No, that's exactly what you play for. And I've heard some weird stuff.
Or I should have said South Carolina.
Related to like Michigan and Ohio State, how Ohio State fans, they would have rather beat Michigan than win a national title. And I'm like, that's not true. You don't believe that. It's all about winning a national title. And when you win 2 in a row, Ryan, you just set a new standard that no one had set until Nebraska 90. That was the last repeat, right? Or if USC 03, 04 maybe, but they had to share that title. Anyway, Georgia set that new standard, not only for college football about, hey, this is what you have to do if you want to, take down the top dog, but for themselves. And now they say we have to do this every year. And they came up short last year, obviously a disappointment, and they've got a chance to do it again. But, this team is going to have to fight and claw their way to every win, it seems like, no matter who the opponent is, unless it's, the cupcakes, they have to really fight for that win. And I think if they are able to get it done, it would feel special in a different way, because this wouldn't be a team that crushed everyone by the half, right? When I'm snacking at the half. I haven't been snacking at the halftime at all this fall, okay? So, and it's, I want my old life back and not have to, throw down Coca-Colas, for 8 overtimes. That's not what I want. And that they did that to me, but it's not the same team. So it would feel maybe more special in a way, but the opportunity is still there. Got to go do it. Go execute the game plan and get the job done.
Yeah, and I think especially, too, it wasn't just the 2 years they won. They've been competing for this thing since year 2 under Kirby Smart. Yeah. This is year 9. So we're going on an 8-year run now of Georgia being one of the handful of best teams, if not the best team, competing for it all at the end of the season. And so that's the other part of it. It's not like this just happened. This has been brewing, and this is just what it is now. But, one of the toughest schedules ever, one of the toughest situations ever. The team is not this super dominant team. And, we would be – if they were a super dominant team like a couple of years ago, people would be calling this one of the best teams of all time, if not the best of all time.
They still have a loss, though.
The case. No. If they hadn't lost. If they were dominant, right? People would be calling this the best team of all time because of the schedule. But this is, like Matt said, it would feel sweet. It would be a sweeter one than maybe some other rings. I don't know about the 2 before. We'd have to see how that happens. But you knew the team wasn't as good, and then you go through a gauntlet, and then you go through a more extended playoff. It would be a very special ring, and it's going to be a special ring, you'd think, for whoever wins it, just because it's the first of this big playoff bracket. But they created the standard for themselves, and if you're Kirby Smart, everyone thinks you're the best coach in the country. A lot of people think this is the best program in the country. Like you said, they're currently signing the #1 class as we speak, and those are the expectations, and they're not going to go away until there are multiple years, some sort of stretch of years where it's just not the same, and that's not where we're at right now. We're inside of it right now. You always say stuff like you don't know where you're at in time, and we don't exactly, but I'm pretty sure we're in the middle of a really great stretch of Georgia football, and during that great stretch, the expectation is going to be to go win every game.
I mean, my view of the world on this is not going to change. I mean, when Greg McGarity hired Kirby Smart to be the head coach, he let go of someone who was a very good, not just coach, but human being, and a person who was doing a lot of good and great in the world in Mark Richt. But Mark was not winning national championships. The reason Kirby was hired was to win national championships. Doesn't mean every single year that you don't win a national championship is a failure, which is the way I've described it. The world is not black and white. It's quite gray. But, my flip side on this is this, Matt, and you can close this out. This is the opportunity that Kirby Smart specifically has here, and Tate and Malachi and Dan Jackson and Carson, etc., older players. They're not quite obviously the best team in the country. They're not this. They're not these, they're not this team. This team was a bunch of freaks. That's not what these guys are. And they have a chance to go down as one of the most special Georgia teams that we've ever seen because of going through the fight and coming through on the other side and winning it. So much of life is that way. Life is not a lot of fun sometimes, and you got to go through the bad. So Georgia's been through the bad, and they still might go through bad Saturday. We don't know, Matt. But if Kirby, Carson, Tate, Dan, CJ Allen, whoever, they have an opportunity to do something that no one else has ever done, and to do it in a spectacular fashion. But and in many ways, that should be appreciated more than just straight up greatness. It's not easy, but it's when you're Steffi Graf and you're obviously the best player, that's one thing. But when you have to fight your own demons and get through things, that's another.
Yeah, can you imagine a Carson Beck to Arian Smith touchdown pass in a game-winning,
No.
national championship or anything like that?
I cannot.
Right.
Currently.
But that would be something. And that guy is one massive catch away from really turning his career around. But so is Carson Beck, too. If he makes one of those catches like he did against Ohio State, all he needs is one more big game-changing catch like that, and maybe people
This is not the Arian Smith redemption tour. Arian Smith can go make plays on Saturday.
No big catch is going to change people's minds. He is exactly what he was.
I don't know. One big one could. But this is Carson Beck's final 2-3 games. He could really change the narrative of his career, especially because of the way he's been playing the last 3 weeks. So there's still a lot to play for. There's a lot of guys who have a chance to still make big plays, game-changing plays for the Dogs. They just have to go do it. This team, can scratch and claw and fight and persevere and go through adversity. They're going to have to fight through a lot more adversity, not only Saturday, but in the playoffs too. They've got heart, though. I think they can get it done.
All right. Hey, thanks for watching. We'll see you on Riding Home after the game.